This is the second presentation in the series about the biological basis of learning disorders. This presentation looks at attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or ADHD. ADHD seems to be found in many, if not all, cultures and societies. It's a behavioural disorder that affects between 5 to 8% of children and about 2.5% of adults. The adult ADHD is distinct from the childhood condition and is not a continuation of it. There appear to be three main types of ADHD: inattention, hyperactivity, and a combination of the two. People with ADHD are at increased risk of a wide range of functional impairments, such as failure in school, peer rejection, injuries due to accidents, increased risk of criminal behaviour or occupational failure, increased risk of divorce or suicide and premature death. Neurological studies seem to suggest that brain circuitry involving executive functioning, reward processing, timing, and the information processing in time appear to be affected. There appears to be some form of genetic component shaping the development of ADHD. Family studies, twin studies, and adoption studies all show that ADHD runs in families, and genetic factors seem to interact with common family environments. ADHD has a relatively high heritability of about 74%. This means that about 74% of the differences between people in these studies may be caused by genetic factors. Not surprisingly, this has led to significant research to try to find the susceptible genes which might be influencing ADHD. Genomic studies have found a number of these factors and suggest that each variant has a relatively small impact on the development of ADHD, and that there are a large number of genetic variants that may be implicated. Genomic studies have also suggested that the number of genes which code for proteins may also be involved. However, the environment also has a major contribution in the development of the condition. Different researchers have suggested that younger mothers might influence the development of ADHD, the structure of families, a history of cigarette smoking, all may implicate it in the development of the condition. Neuroscience suggests that the part of the brain which is involved in the reward system may be implicated in individuals with ADHD. Such individuals have differences in their reward networks compared with the control group that do not have the condition. The main neurotransmitter of these pathways is dopamine, and therefore neurological studies suggest that children with ADHD may have a deficit in dopamine and reward sensitivity. One of the most important contemporary papers on the genetic basis of ADHD came out in 2019 by De Montis et al. The paper is found in the OneNote notebook and also on the team's site. It found no genetic variant which was exclusively associated with ADHD. There appears to be no genetic factor and certainly no genes which cause ADHD. Rather, there's a large number of genetic factors which seem to influence brain development which are associated with ADHD. Many of these genetic factors also correlate with other characteristics, such as depression, neuroticism, anxiety. There's a strong association with smoking behaviour and also with predisposition to smoking cancer. The number of children born weight-related characteristics, and also insomnia. Other studies support the claim that there is no specific genetic factor and certainly no protein coding gene which causes ADHD. Rather, there are a large number of genetic factors which influence the development of the condition alongside interactions with the environment. There are a number of genetic factors which are also known to affect the way that the brain develops. These are listed on the screen. We mentioned earlier that ADHD was linked to possibly the reward pathway, which is why people with ADHD are impulsive. And there are a number of protein coding genes there which are involved in the development of that system. But not only the dopamine systems, but noradrenaline and serotonin also seem to be associated with this condition. A number of genes are concerned with the way in which the brain learns and develops through experience. That's known as neuronal plasticity. So we need to consider that what is happening here is a developmental process which is affecting the way the brain develops. And therefore we need to pay particularly close attention to those regions of life where the brain does develop, such as in the first 3 months of embryonic development and also adolescence.